You know something? I actually forgot Toya was paralyzed. I really did. I did not actually remember until I saw this episode. I'm like, oh yeah, he was paralyzed, wasn't he, in the real world? Because I remember at the beginning of the first season of Log Horizon, we got to see a little bit of glimpses into Toya and how he was kind of paralyzed. I mean, it was hinted at and stuff like that. And with this episode, it made me remember, I'm like, oh yeah, he was paralyzed. And then getting to see his connection with how he feels about death and life and stuff like that, and how these, you know, Odyssey Knights are running out there just to die to get closer to the other world and die once again, just to keep reliving that moment. It really goes to play on Toya's character. Like, Toya's character got a lot of development in this episode. Like, he's one of the main central characters of this episode that really got development. Along with Isuzu, she also got a lot of development last episode, and a little bit of her conclusion of character development was in this episode. But Toya, getting to see his connection with the Odyssey Knights, now that I remember actually he was paralyzed, now I remember, I don't know why I forgot, because it's been just a long time, but still, I mean, finding out his connection with the Odyssey Knights of how they're wanting to go back to the other world because, I mean, they had so much other things they had to do. Like, one dude in this episode that was part of the Odyssey Knights, he states, like, he had a wife that he was going to be marrying in the summer. He was going to have a house with her. He was going to marry her. And, I mean, he was going to quit playing the game in summer. And this never happened because, as we know, he's trapped in the game right now. And so, this episode goes to show you the complications of living in Elder Tale Online. Like, all the characters had to accept, like, what they have to do. Like, they need to live in this world, or they're forced to be in this world right now, because Toya comes to the conclusion, like, this is another real world, too. I mean, you're not just in the other, you know, world that you once came from, but this is also a real world we should all cherish and love and stuff like that. That's pretty much what this episode's main theme was about, and I'm quite shocked about that. I really am. I expected this episode to be an action-orientated episode. Now, I don't care if there's no action. I have no problem with that, but, I mean, the way the build-up was with last week's episode when Nyanta, you know, going in, standing on the cliff, looking at all these dragons, I mean, I expected a fight like that, but it wasn't, you know, bad. This episode was, once again, more development. Character development for our characters, getting to see, you know, development for them and what they've been through and stuff like that. And I mean, I guess that's the main goal of this arc, if we actually think about it. I mean, this arc, this little mini arcs focused on our little side characters and finally getting character development. Pretty much, that's what this arc is about. Just giving them character development, fleshing them out, getting to see, you know, what they have been through in the other world and this world and stuff like that. And that's pretty much what this arc is trying to lead to. So, I mean, it's not really all about the fighting, but still, I was hoping we would get, you know, a Nyanta fighting scene, especially with that ending last week. But, I mean, at the end of this episode, they tease us once again. They freaking tease us once again with the Nyanta about to go in and fight. So, I don't know. I mean, I looked at the preview after the ending song, and the preview shows Nyanta fighting. So, I really hope it's not a troll. I really hope it's not, because I want to see Nyanta go in and start wrecking some fools, because he's a character that hasn't really fought since the first season. Like, I think the last time Nyanta fought, seriously, was with Mr. Democrat. You remember Mr. Democrat when he was, you know, kind of evil in Season 1? I think that's the last time Nyanta actually fought seriously. So, I really, really hope we get to see a serious fight next week, but regardless of that, getting back into the other topics of the episode, the Odyssey Knights, pretty much, we get their overall angle. Like, they want to die. That's pretty much what the Odyssey Knights want to do. They want to die, and they want to be able to die, and they can't really die in Elder Tale Online because they're adventurers and they keep coming back. And so, they're, like, kind of trying to find a way where they can kill themselves. That's exactly what's going on. I mean, if you think about it, there is people in the real world, even in our world right now, that do think like that. I mean, they want to be able to choose their time of death. They don't want to be forced by the bounded rules of society. They want to be able to choose what they die, like when they die, how they die, stuff like that. And they can't really do that because they can't die at all. They're immortal. So to see that, it just goes to show you how some people are really trying to cope with being in a game and not being able to die. So it just shows you a different perspective than the other perspectives we have seen thus far from, you know, Log Horizon. Now, one thing I do want to point out is this, like, new element that was introduced in this episode, and it's probably going to play a major role in the future. You have to where these people land. If I understood correctly, the girl that was on the train, she is, like, a people to land. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell? Like, whoa. And she kind of turning people on the land into, like, these, like, vessels that could summon these, you know, these, like, spiritual-looking beasts, like these minions or whatever, to go fight, and it makes the people of the land that's embodying inside of them to be able to be, like, temporarily immortal. So, it's really weird seeing, you know, how these other little elements have been made inside the game, like, you know, the movable shrines to this. I mean, it's making, you know, people of the land into fighters. So, I wonder exactly what is going to happen in the future with that, but overall, that's pretty much this episode of Log Horizon. You all have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.